He did it. Right when McLaren thought they could breathe easy, Max Verstappen pulled off something nobody saw coming, and fresh evidence now proves it changes everything. The very ground under Woking trembles. It started with Baku. As the dust of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix settled, the headlines were all about Verstappen's victory. But behind that win lay a chess move so bold, it rewrote the balance of power. Red Bull's team principal Laurent Mekies later revealed something stunning. Verstappen was the driving force behind the winning strategy. Not just the fastest driver, but the mastermind in the pit wall. Mekies disclosed that Verstappen insisted on starting on hard tyres, even though every other top 4 competitor went for softer compounds. Max had a very clear idea that it will become a race where you just drive, waiting for the safety car, Mekies said. The logic? Don't be the one to pit early. Wait until chaos comes. If someone else gets a cheap pit stop, you're cooked. By demanding the hard tyres, Verstappen exposed himself to risk. If an early safety car came, he'd be at a disadvantage. Mekies admitted so. It doesn't come for free. If a safety car happens on lap 10, you will not find that funny if you have started on hard. But Verstappen was crystal clear. He'd seen echoes of Monza, where Red Bull's gamble had faltered during a late safety car, and he didn't want to repeat. In some respects, Monza was a bit like that. At some stage, we had to pit because our tyres were pretty much gone. We have been exposed for a few laps to a safety car, he reasoned. In Baku, he insisted the strategy would play out. Mekies said he wanted to exploit the pace of the car and disappear with the hards, and he has done exactly that. When the lights went out, Red Bull followed his plan. Verstappen stretched, waited, and pounced when the moment was right. The result? He vaulted into the lead, safe behind strategy, while others scrambled. The gamble paid off. That by itself is headline-worthy. But the new evidence? It ties directly into McLaren's collapse in Baku, and shows that Verstappen didn't just win a race, he struck a blow to McLaren's armour. We now see he didn't just catch them off guard, he anticipated their weakness. McLaren's pace in the race was extremely difficult to read, Mekies acknowledged. The papaya machines were not finding any free air. On Friday and Saturday, they looked blisteringly fast. On Sunday, they looked lost. We'll probably never know what the real pace is in the race, but there's certainly no room to relax for us, he warned. McLaren's struggle wasn't just bad luck. Verstappen forced it. By putting pressure through strategy, by breaking the script, he pushed McLaren into a corner where their weaknesses were exposed. Their drivers fell apart. Lando Norris limped to P7. Oscar Piastri crashed out on lap 1. The team's dream weekend turned to a nightmare. Afterward, as pundits assessed the damage, a narrative shift began. Suddenly, Verstappen was no longer just a fading contender. He was a live threat. From being nearly forgotten in the title race, he re-emerged with ferocity. He was asked whether he now believed in a 2025 title run. His answer was calm, commanding. I don't rely on hope. It's 7 rounds left, 69 points is a lot, so I personally don't think about it. I just go race by race. Just trying to do the best we can. Try to score the most points that we can. He would not get lost in dreams. He focused on the next battle. Yet others sensed the tremors. McLaren's Andrea Stella, trying to steady his own squad, declared Verstappen was still a title rival to Norris and Piastri. That statement was more than motivational. It was a warning. And Gary Anderson echoed it. It would have seemed preposterous a few races ago, but now he certainly has a chance. Anderson pointed out that Verstappen's charge, cutting 25 points in one race, plus 10 in Monza, wasn't luck, but a warning shot. Even Lewis Hamilton weighed in. After finishing 8th in Baku, he didn't mince words. Red Bull took an upgrade, and they've now picked up their pace, and I expect they're probably going to win all races. It's not just Verstappen anymore, it's Red Bull breathing down McLaren's neck. Jacques Villeneuve added colour to the tension. Verstappen can win the championship. He is only 3 races away. If Max Verstappen wins the World Drivers' Championship, it's definitely his greatest achievement ever. Villeneuve compared Verstappen to the legends, Prost, Senna, saying his level of performance now deserves that company. So here's what he just did to McLaren. He invaded their mental stronghold. By executing a bold, risky strategy, he exposed not just Red Bull's strength, but McLaren's fragility. He forced the favourites to falter, in part by daring them to break their rhythm. He didn't just win a race, he reignited a championship fight. And now McLaren must respond, not wit. This is where it gets terrifying for McLaren. 7 races to go, 69 points ahead. But now they're staring down a Max Verstappen who's fully awake, fully locked in, and driving like a man with nothing to lose and everything to reclaim. And that's the most dangerous version of him. McLaren team boss Andrea Stella may have tried to sound calm when he said Verstappen is still a title rival, but it's what he didn't say that matters. Deep inside the walls of Woking, they know Baku wasn't a blip. It was a blueprint. If Verstappen wins the next 2 rounds and Norris and Piastri start mixing it with the Mercedes or Ferrari cars, then the gap will reduce dramatically, said former F1 engineer Gary Anderson. His tone, not hypothetical, it was a warning. Because the math no longer favours the papaya camp, it simply highlights the pressure. Verstappen has already taken 35 points off Piastri in 2 races. Keep that up, and, by Qatar, we're talking about a dead heat. And then there's Oscar Piastri. The quiet Aussie, once the picture of consistency, is now rattled. A crash on lap 1 in Baku, a rookie mistake from a driver who's supposed to be anything but. Still, he tried to play it cool. Not too concerned, he said, when asked about Verstappen's comeback. But cool doesn't win titles, execution does. And Lando Norris, he walked away from P7 in Azerbaijan like a man who'd just dropped a bag of bricks on his own foot. No points lost to a rival, but momentum, pride, confidence, shattered. These two, Piastri and Norris, were supposed to be fighting each other for the crown. Now, they can barely outrun their own shadows. Red Bull's turnaround hasn't just been mechanical, it's psychological. That hard tyre gamble in Baku wasn't just clever strategy, it was Verstappen's way of saying, I still control the narrative. And just ask Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champ who knows a thing or two about mind games and miracle runs. He said it plainly, I expect Red Bull is probably going to win all races. That's not flattery, that's fear. And let's not forget, Singapore is next, the track that haunted Red Bull last year. Even Verstappen admitted it. Singapore is a completely different challenge again with the high downforce, so we'll see what we can do there. It's the place McLaren should dominate. It's the kind of circuit that exposed Red Bull's weaknesses before. But this time they might not have the margin of error, because this version of Verstappen doesn't need perfect conditions. He doesn't need hope, he just needs opportunity. As he said himself, I don't rely on hope, I just go race by race. And quietly, that has become Red Bull's new anthem. But here's the twist. What if McLaren doesn't mess up? What if Piastri and Norris return to form, and we get a 3-way title brawl? That's the scenario that should scare everyone, because now it's not just about winning races, it's about survival. Think of the pressure. Piastri, in only his 2nd full season, trying to carry McLaren to its first driver's title since 2008. Norris, still hunting his first win since Spa, knowing every mistake widens the Dutchman's door. And Verstappen, driving like a man on fire with nothing to lose and a legacy to secure. Jacques Villeneuve said it best. If Max Verstappen wins the World Drivers' Championship, it's definitely his greatest achievement ever. He is easily the best of this generation without question. This wouldn't just be a title, it would be a comeback so monumental it would burn its way into F1 folklore. But now, the question shifts. Not, can Verstappen catch them? That's no longer a fantasy. The question is, can McLaren hold him off? Every lap now becomes a test. Every strategy call, Every pit stop, every qualifying session, a pressure cooker moment where one small mistake could mean the difference between champion and also ran. And for the fans, this is what we live for. The dominant driver reawakens, the rising stars start to stumble, the championship picture, shattered, reshaped, rebuilt. So now we ask you, the diehards, the skeptics, the believers, has Verstappen already turned the tide, or is this just the calm before McLaren's counterstrike? Let us know what you think below, because this story, it's far from over, and the next chapter starts in Singapore.